I got a call. It was in January when I got the call to ask if I go to LA to help with the mixing. Now, I knew that they'd done some recording because Gil sort of brought me up to speed, and they'd basically done a bunch of recording. I think it was at Bearsville, I think. I'm not quite sure. And they'd, again, from what I understand, is that they'd done a bunch of recording. This was with William playing drums. And they decided that for whatever reason, some things weren't cutting it. And, and William's drums was one of them. I mean, playing the drums in the Foo Fighters would be nerve-wracking enough, you know what I mean? Can you imagine? Anyway, I was not involved in any of that stuff. So when I got involved was, I think it was January. They were still recording then. So when I came over, they were, it was an interesting setup because they were still recording because they were kind of falling behind a bit because they'd obviously taken the executive decision to redo the drums. Although I think William played on a couple of the tracks, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think he played on the opening song, Doll, I think. Anyway, so they were still recording. So what was happening was that as they were finishing the recordings, they would get me the tracks to mix. So it was sort of, they'd be super busy working till 3 a.m, trying to get these things finished because I was only going to be there for, I guess, a limited time. I think I was in LA for like 3 weeks or something like that. So so they say William departed. In fact, I don't think I met William. I may have done. I think he may have come down once. I think because I can't really remember, but he came down to the studio because they were in a different studio recording with Brad. I only really hung out with Dave in the studio. I did meet the rest of them. Pat Smear came down and Nate came down. In fact, that was the only guys in the band at that point because it was a 4-piece at that point, wasn't it? Because William had left. This was the other thing. I got a phone call, actually, maybe like 3 days into working, saying, had I seen William? Because he had actually sort of left and decided that, he didn't really want to be involved anymore. And I think he'd popped in once or something like that, very briefly. I said, no, I don't know where he is.
Was there any tension at all with the whole William situation going on during this session?
No, not at all. I say again, they kept that very much to the recording studio side of things. Say that was that gang, in the mixing studio. So it was a separate place. No, not at all. When they came down for that, that's all was talked about. I say apart from I got this phone call just saying, had I seen William? And I was like, no, I haven't seen William at all. I don't know. So that wasn't talked about. It was just, so it was a very. People have asked me before about it, and it was actually a very straightforward record to mix. It was a lot of fun to mix because the songs were great. And I was given pretty much free rein to get on with it. There wasn't anybody hanging over my shoulder or anything. So again, a lot of it was because they were still recording, so they couldn't anyway. They had to get stuff finished.